Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Lung Pamay, and in today's video I'm going to show you how to use VBA to read and write to Google Sheets. In the prior video I have provided a detailed walkthrough on how to create a cloud project, enable Google API, set up consent screen, generate keys, and use these pieces of information to connect to Drive, upload, download, create folders, etc. using VBA. If you have not seen the prior video, I recommend watching it to get a better understanding. If you're already familiar with this part, please feel free to skip forward. For demonstration purpose, I'm going to create a new project, but if you want to include it in your existing project, simply enable the Sheets API from your project. Okay, so once you head to console.developers.google.com, you should be able to see all your existing projects from here. This is one of the existing projects from the .NET. For example, if you want to enable the API from your existing project, simply select that project, click on Enable APIs, and just search for Sheets here. And then you just need to enable the API by just clicking on this button. Okay. For this demonstration, I'm gonna just create a new project. We'll just call this Sheets API, and for VBA. Okay, whatever name suits you, you can just go for that. Okay, and then yep, this is the new project that just got created. I'm gonna click there, or you can just go back and go back to dashboard, and then from here you can select this new project. Okay, so now this project is selected. First, let's enable the API. So I'm going to search for Sheets and just click on this button. This will enable the Sheets API for this particular project. Okay, so that's done. If you want to enable more APIs, you follow similar pattern like for Gmail or calendar and so on. And now let me go back. Okay, credentials. Let's set this up first. Before we can set up the credentials, again, we'll set up the consent screen. This will be the page that the user will see once they use your application. We're gonna go for external everyone, so that everyone with Google account can access this, use this project. And here, this will appear in consent screen. So I'm just gonna say Sheets API VBA demo, and then let's just put logo as well. Okay, so that should be it. The scope and all are already like based on the permission that you'll give. Just leave everything as it is. So the consent screen has been set up. Now we'll set up the credentials. So here all the credentials are like there are no items. First, let's go for Authentication, and we'll select the desktop application. Let's call this we'll just call this user, and click on create. And this is going to be your key. Okay, and this is your password or client secret, so just keep this confidential. And you can now download this JSON file which contains the keys. Okay, so here's the file. I'm just going to leave it there for now. Now let's set up the service account as well. So click on service account. We'll try to use this information. I'll just call this service, and this is going to be the email ID for this service account. And I don't know. Okay, this works. Now we'll set up the owner uh, the role. So we'll just set up the owner for this service account. This email ID is going to be the owner. Click on continue. Okay, so that's pretty much it. If you want to assign more roles, you can also do that. For now, just click on done. And here, once you go into this service account, you'll be able to add the keys. So you scroll down here. You can upload existing keys if you have, or you can use the new key as well. So here you can either go for JSON format or P12. So let's try and create two keys. I'll just use this first. Okay, and then here is the key. Let's add one more. And this is going to be P12. So as soon as you create, it's going to automatically download it for you. Okay, the password is not a secret. Okay, since the program is going to take care of all this automatically, you don't have to worry much. Just save the file in a place where you can access them. Okay, and then now going back, so we have created the keys, we have set up the service account. So let me navigate back to dashboard. Okay, so this is the one we have created, and then so far we have enabled Google Sheets API. So if you have enabled more APIs, you'll be able to see them here. Once you go in here, you'll be able to see the stats, the metrics, the error count, number of requests that has been sent. All these informations are going to come in here later on. Okay, so for now, let's go. The project is ready. We can go and try to use this in VBA. Now, first, we'll try to use this demo DB sheet that I have created, and then we'll try to play more with new sheets and all this. Okay, so this is a dummy one that I've created here. Okay, now for those of you who have followed the prior ones, prior video, there are some changes that has been done to the methods and some of the functions, so I'll just talk about that as well in a bit. Okay, so once you download the library from the video description, you can find the link. Once you download it, you'll find these files. So you can either run the setup or this one, the MSI file. If you have installed the prior version, please go and uninstall it first, and then you run the setup or this one. Okay, so for now, I'm gonna run this setup.exe. Just follow the screen and take a note of this particular path. Just gonna copy it and put it here. You have to confirm that, and now it's gonna be done. Okay, so the program has been installed. We can quickly confirm this from. So here is the program by publisher VBA to Z, and so on. Okay, so once we have installed this, we can go and check this folder. So here are all the DLL files. This is the file that will link from VBA, and then this file will connect to, you know, like all these DLL files where all these methods and programs are stored to connect to Google API. Okay. Okay, so for now, going back to that folder. So this is the where all the sample codes has been placed. You can just open that, and I'll give you some demonstration, and then it should be fairly easy to follow this. Okay, so I'm going to go to downloads folder and just cut these 3 files and bring it here. Let's just call this new folder as credentials and paste it here. Okay, so this one is the user, and then this is service 1, and this is service 2. Okay, now let's try with the user first. this key first. Now when you open up this spreadsheet, go to editor, you'll see all the functions that are available. So for Google Drive, there are some changes that I've done. This method account credentials now has been set to start service, so you update that accordingly. Similarly, there was a typo in this method, so I've just renamed the method to list files folders. And then now Google Drive has become GoogleApisVBA, so that we can include more APIs. Maybe we'll try to include maps, or we can even include Gmail, calendar, and so on, okay, in the future. Maybe even YouTube and all, if you guys use that. And now coming down here, these are all the methods and functions and all the parameters that you can pass and what it's going to return to you, okay. And then for sheets as well, these are, you know, like to list the name of the sheet, to append the data, to retrieve the data, and then it returns the array in 2 dimensions. So we'll just demonstrate that, and then this will just return you the last connection information if you're interested to know that. Now again, nothing have changed except the ones that I mentioned for Google Drive, so they are still intact. You can go ahead and try it again using this new you know, like rename methods. Now coming to sheets, first let's set up this information here, the credentials. So we have this user path. I'm gonna place the key file here, okay, and I put in some information about each of these parameters. And then this is gonna be user, this parameter is gonna be user. And then for the service account, let me just grab the email ID. So I'm just going to get this service account email ID and replace this one here. Okay, so as far as the credentials is concerned, you just need to set this information. If you're going to use the service account, you specify service here. The path will be as of this particular, you know, like either JSON or P12. If you use this P12 certificate, then you'll need to specify the service account email ID as well here. Otherwise, this is optional, okay? Okay, now in order for us to connect to that particular Google Sheet, we have to go and get the Google Sheet ID. So I'm just gonna, the ID that comes between these two backslash after D and before added. Okay, so I'm just gonna copy this part, and then I'm just gonna put a constant variable here. But if you want to use multiple sheets, then you can, you know, like replicate this variable for yourself. Okay, so this is the ID. And the first, we can just try to run this first. Before that, in case you install it to a different location other than this, you copy this path, go to your references, and then we'll have to link it to this TBL file, okay? So here, if you can see, it's already linked to that. Otherwise, you can just go there by putting the path like this, and then you select the file and just click on OK. For now, I've already done this, so I'm not gonna redo this part. So if you've installed this correctly, once you run this, it should give you the app information. So the first time you run it, it's also gonna run the service as well. Okay, so this is basic information that the application has been installed successfully, and then your VBA can now start using those methods. Now let's try to use this first. Basically, this function is just going to return all the name of all the sheets that are there in this particular spreadsheet. Google Sheet. So let's try and run this code. Let me clear this data. Let me first run this, and then I'll demonstrate that. Probably we'll have to give a consent to that particular spreadsheet. So at least one client secret should be installed. Just give me 1 second. I think I renamed this incorrectly. I think this one is the user. Just gonna change this. As soon as you download this, it's better to rename it, otherwise it gets confusing. Otherwise you can open the file and then you should be able to figure out. Okay, so now it was telling me that at least one client secret should be, should be set up. So I'll talk a little bit more about that error, but let's try to run this again. Okay, this time it's prompting us. So the consent screen is the one that we set up, is going to show up here now. So choose the account to continue. For now, I'm using in this drive where this database is there. So I'm using Alpamide 77. So let me go and select that, because that's where the spreadsheet is. Click on Advanced, go to API, and then it's gonna tell you what are the things that this app can have access to. See your files, upload, delete files, and so on, organize the drive. Click on Allow, and then Allow again. You can confirm the ID as well from there. So receive verification code, you may close this. So if you go back to your folder, you'll see that there's a token. So till the time it doesn't expire, the program will keep using this token to access your files in Google Drive. Okay, now coming back to our file here, so it retrieved these two name of these two sheets from there. Now if I just run again, this time it's not gonna prompt us, just return the name of the sheet. So let me go back there and create one more tab. I'll just have this as sheet 4. So there it is. Okay, now very quickly how to use this particular library. So here we've declared this object or variable as a new the class or object, and then once you set this up, you should be able to access the methods within it. For example, here this is to get the sheet names, and then this is the parameter that you need to pass. So this is the name of the ID that we got it initially. So we pass this particular ID, and then once you this particular function is executed, it's gonna return the list of all the sheet names in array, and then this part is basically just printing that. So for example, if I run this now again, so stop here, and if you go to your local window, you should be able to see there are 3 items here. Okay, and basically this part is basically just resizing the range and then printing it out in transpose format for this array. Okay, now similarly, there are 2 more of them. One is to append and one is to retrieve. Okay, so let's see the append example. So in this example here we're saying that the data will have this tree is the maximum, like the upper index of this array. This v data is going to be array, and this is going to be string, and then this name of the sheets where we want to write the data to, and then this is the name of the tab that we're writing the data to. So if we go to Google, this is the tab we're trying to write the data to, and then in the first field we want to put the date. So if I just move here, we want to write the date here. Second, we want to put the client ID. So for example, if I just get rid of this, just give me 1 second. So let's say we want to just put CLT 17, and the next one is the amount. So let's say that we want to put this amount, and the state as FL, something like that. Again, coming down here, these are the values that we are assigning to array. So if you You can also set up from 1 to like 4, for example. But if you just specify one number, this is starting from 0. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. These are the values that you're assigning to array. And if you have more fields, then you can first increase the like the number of fields that are going to be the values that you're going to send to this method, and then you can keep replicating this array down here. Okay, let me just get rid of this. And here again we are setting up this object, and then we are referencing into this particular custom library. And then using this method, we are calling this object, we are calling this append data. In append data, so here first we are starting the service using these credentials that we've set up here, this part. Okay, and then so starting the service, and then we're calling this append data method, and this is the name of the Google Sheets, the database where we're writing to, and then this is the name of the tab. Okay, sheet name, which is here, and then the data, this is the data we're writing to. So let's try and run this. Once this executed, if there is no service, it's going to automatically set up the service, and then the user is going to get a prompt if you're using the user file. Okay, otherwise if you're using the service file, then probably there won't be a prompt. Okay, now coming down here, it's just clearing the memory. So let's try and run this. So you can see it automatically it wrote whatever data was sent from here. So if we just try again, another amount, something like that. Okay, so it's as simple as that. So when you update this for your program, in your application, you just need to update the name of the tab, and then based on the number of fields that are there in your Google Sheets, you update, you increase or decrease this array accordingly, and then everything remains the same. Here you just start using this particular object, you call this method. First start the service, you just keep replicating this before you can actually call these methods, and then this will clear the memory. If it errors, it's going to go down here and it's going to print you. So it'll give you a basic idea about that. Now let's try and retrieve this this information to our Excel sheet here. Okay, I'm going to clear this. So test retrieve. Let me quickly walk you through this again. Just activating this particular sheet, and then we're saying we want to retrieve from this particular Google Sheet, and then this is the address from where we want to bring it. Now very quickly you can specify like an address like this, A1 to D2 or D20 2000, whatever it is. Okay, but if you want the entire data to be pulled in, you do not have to specify the last row. So you just specify the column, and then it's automatically gonna bring in everything. Okay, and then this is gonna be the name on. So basically this is the full address of the tab you want to pull in data from. In case you do not mention the name of the tab like this, it's just gonna bring in the data from the first tab from the Google Sheet here. Okay, so let's try this. I'm gonna bring in the data, all this data from this particular tab. Again, setting up the service, and then it's gonna call this retrieve method, and then this is gonna be the spreadsheet ID. This is the file we're referring to, and then this is the name of the tab, and then this is the range from where we want to retrieve the data from. And then once it's here, it basically prints this data again. After one demo, I'll give a quick walkthrough about that array. So let me run this. Okay, so this is all the information from that particular. Now let's say that we want to retrieve just the 3 rows. You can specify it like this. If you want to bring in like only 1 row, that will be just a header. Yeah, like this. Okay, and let's say that you have more columns. Let's say this is country or something like that. Now from here you can specify just increase the column index, and then it brings that information. and then if you just specify the last column, it's just gonna bring in everything. Now you can also try to do in this fashion. Okay, that didn't work. Here there was a problem, that was not working out. Okay, so maybe we can try to do A1 is to A. Okay, it retrieved all this information, so you can try it out. You'll find more information in the video description. You can try to play around with this. Okay, and then if there is something that you have a suggestion, please do let me know in the video description. Okay, now you know how to write the data to Google Sheets using this custom library, and also to retrieve it, and a little bit more about this. For example, like at the moment here, again, I'm just creating the range, okay, dynamically based on the array that it's returning, and then we're printing the data there using this sh data variable, which is an array variable. So for example, if I run this, I'll just stop here, and let's go back to local Windows. Here you'll see that the data that is coming in from Google Sheet. So here the array is the data stored in, brought back in this array. Okay, so you can also use this method to loop through. For example, like you can loop from lower bound. This is basically like for if you want to easily understand this, you can consider this L bound. This I will be like the rows. Okay, I will loop from lower L bound means lower bound array. Okay, the starting index, and the U bound will be like the last index. So in this example, there are 17 of them. So if I do this U bound of this, it's going to return 16, and since the index is starting from 0, there are 17. Okay, and then this J is going to return the lower bound again, and like how many columns are there. So within this array, one single, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So if I do this U bound of the column within the array, so it returns 4. Okay, again the index starts from 0. So you can also just use this. For example, if I just uncomment this out, and let me drag this up here, and if we print this out, you can also print this in this fashion. For example, if you do not want to directly write this into the range, you want to print this maybe in your combo box or in your list view, or on runtime you want to convert, if J is, let's say, third column, third, like index, we want to convert it to number. So you can play around more using this format as well. Okay, or you can directly print this data to the range in Excel. Okay, now let's give it a try for service account as well. So earlier that error was because of the service account. We first, that was my mistake. I renamed the wrong file as user. Okay, so for example, this is the file we used earlier. If I set this file up here, which is service account key, and then I set this to service, and this is the email. Okay, so the first time when you run this, I'm just gonna clear this, and now we'll try to print the name of the sheet again. It's gonna run this. Oops. Okay, so it returned an error. The error is saying this is the color does not have a permission. Okay, so what you can do for this, if you use the service key, is to give permission to this particular email ID, your respective email ID, which will be there in your in your service account email ID. So I'm gonna copy this, and then I'm gonna go back here, and then I'm gonna share this to the service account. Okay, for service account there won't be any prompt, like I've said earlier. and give edit access, otherwise the user will not, this service account will not be able to write. Okay, so it's done. Let's go and try again now. Let's try to print the name of the sheets again. Okay, so the name of the sheets are here now. It's all good. Now similarly, you can use the service account to like do all this the same activity based on the permission. For example, if I try to run this as if I go here, you see this data. Okay, let's get rid of this delete column, and then now let's retrieve this again. So okay, it's all good. Now we can also quickly try with this p2l file just to make sure that this is working. Copy the path. Again, remember this service, this email ID is required if you're using this p2l file. Okay, it's working. Okay, so let's say that you want to create a new sheet. You can go to your Google Drive, and then from Google Sheets you can use the template, or you can just create a blank one. Again, remember how to pick the like the file ID, which is called the sheet ID, and then this is the one. Okay, this is the sheet that we are interested in, and then let's give permission again to that. Let's call this dvx1. This is just the caption. Okay, and now let's give again to this service account editor access. This is the brand new sheet, and then let's call this demo. We want to write to this demo sheet, and now let me just get this ID. And then for now, I'll just replace this part. Now, if we try to print the name of all the sheets, it's just return demo. Okay, and that's pretty much it. The rest are same. You can create the sheets as in this fashion, and this there are so many other like plugins and all, and additional features that you can build in cloud, but this is I'm showing you just from how you can use this in your VBA project. Otherwise online as well, you can use there are various other features and tools that you can use to like connect to these sheets, and then manipulate data. You can build in charts and like other analysis within this. Okay, so guys, that's gonna be all for this video. If you have any suggestions, since this is the second version, you might face some errors as well, or you might face any difficulty, please do let me know. Again, if you have any confusion with the methods, just refer to this. It'll give you a pretty idea what information needs to be passed, and then what data it's gonna return. Again, this is like few changes that has happened in this version, and then this is the new addition to this library. Again, if you have installed the prior program, just uninstall that first, and then install this new application and updated version. Okay, and do let me know if you want me to include any new feature in this library, and then I'll try to address that as soon as possible. Okay, so that's gonna be all for today. Thank you so much for watching, and have a good weekend. Bye bye.